Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Slam podcast, where I talk about anything and everything because I can. In today's episode, I want to dive into my past a little bit. A person that I care about a lot gave me some critique and said that in one of my previous episodes about toxic relationships, they wished that I gave more examples of what I went through in my past relationship. I had to think about it and really figured that I can't really engage with my audience if I don't give detailed examples, because then at that point you're just talking about a subject without any draw and attention grabbers. I really tried to speak from my heart in that episode, but now I see that I missed a few points. So I want to thank that person for giving me constructive criticism. It only helps me improve myself as a host. Also, guys, I went to go buy more stuff for arts and crafts, but instead of going to Michael's, I decided to try Hobby Lobby because the cashier there at Michael's told me to try Hobby Lobby to find something that they didn't have. Boy, was I surprised. They have so many goodies over there for arts and crafts. I'm telling you guys, arts and crafts is so much fun once you get into it. You make something and seeing the end result is so rewarding. It also challenges your internal creativity, and when you put emotion and a lot of intent into your projects, it's extra special and even more rewarding. So let's get right into it. A few years ago, I went through my worst relationship ever. The memories still haunt me till this day, and I'm not sure if I'll ever really get over it because of how painful it was. I know that deep down I've lost parts of myself that I don't really know that I'll ever get back. At first, it was a really weird relationship. We dated very quickly, and when we started dating, they never wanted to hang out with me. You'd think that when you enter a relationship, you'd want to spend as much time with each other as possible. Instead, they would spend more time with their friends and wouldn't message me all day. I almost felt like I was alone for the most part, and I just had a part-time relationship with this person. It didn't make me feel good, and I never said anything about it. Talk about red flags, eh? Red flags everywhere. But I was young and dumb and didn't love myself at this age. Another strange thing is that they told me that they didn't even really like me. They just kind of said yes to me with no real reason as to why. They just did it. I found out soon that she still wasn't over her ex, that she was crazy about, and that perhaps I was just a fill-in to suppress their emotions for him. A rebound, if you will. Being the stupid young me, I told myself, I'll help her get over him. I'm going to be her knight in shining armor. Why the hell did I do this? Probably because I lacked any sense of self-respect at this time in my life. I thought I was doing the right thing, but guys, if I can give you advice, please don't ever do this to yourself. Just identify as a red flag and move on. Anyways, when we would hang out, my ex-partner would always drag her friends along, and so our hangouts never really felt special. The first couple of months felt like I was just one of her friends, and it was the most awkward thing ever. I kept telling myself that it was just a phase and that it would end soon. My ex-partner would also openly recall memories of her with her ex and put it on Snapchat. Also a red flag. Yes, I was stupid. I get it. So I was never one to tell someone that I loved them first. It was always them telling me first. And it's not something that I want to brag about, but what's important about this is that when she told me that she loved me for the first time, I thought that my efforts were finally getting me somewhere. She's finally getting over her ex. She's spending a lot more time with me. Except that they weren't over their ex. I tried to search for answers why, and when I'd ask, she'd tell me a plethora of stories about why she still missed him and all the things she did to try and make him stay. It wasn't enough, and I actually discovered a notepad of hers detailing all of the dreams that she still had about him. And at that time, those entries in the notepad were during our relationship, even after she told me she loved me. I was overcome with so much sadness and asked why I wasn't enough. I was putting forth so much effort, much more than any other relationship I've ever been. I felt that my endeavors got me nowhere. After a couple months, we got into our first argument about something, and I never raised my voice at a partner before until that time. I never thought that I was capable of that level of anger, but people can drive you absolutely insane without you ever thinking you can even go insane. From this point on, arguing became a daily thing. Everything I did wasn't enough, and things that weren't even bad, they saw as something that was harmful to them. I worked second shift at a cheese factory, and they threatened to leave me because they worked first and I worked second, so they said it would never work out because they needed the constant hangouts every day of the week to stay attracted to me. So I quit my job and started working first shift at a different company to try and accommodate them. I literally went that far to try and work things out with them. A few more months down the line, I became very busy with my family and at home. There was a time where a couple hours before I was supposed to go see my partner, my brother texted me saying that I should clean up the front yard. I texted my ex partners saying that I'm going to be a couple hours late to their house. They flipped out and said, "Why the fuck didn't you do it earlier?" I said, "Because my brother just texted me to do it before I leave anywhere." They proceed to say, "Why the fuck didn't you do it earlier? Why do you have to wait for him to tell you to do it?" I said, "Because it's just some branches that I have to pick up. I didn't see it as a big deal, but my brother wants it done." And so they ignored me for a couple of days, all because I was busy for a couple hours. If that's not toxic, then I don't know what is. It could have been a simple, "Okay, I'll see you in a few hours then." Besides, I'm pretty sure that day we weren't going to do anything besides staying anyways, so it wasn't of utmost importance. There were a couple family events that I missed because my ex partner wouldn't allow me to attend them. I had to spend my entire weekends with them, or else they'd threaten to break up with me. I think at that time in my life, I was so afraid of being alone that I did almost anything they said to try and save the relationship. Something that played a huge role into them not allowing me to attend these events is that our religious views were different. She didn't believe in what I believed in and ostracized me, saying that it was the wrong faith and that if we ever got married, we will never attend those kinds of religious events. That, of course, didn't sit right with me at all. So, his partner was a really needy person, as you guys can tell. Like, I wasn't even allowed to see my friends, and even if I was only allowed an hour or two to see them. Even if it was extremely important events for my friends and I couldn't stay the entire day, or else my ex partner would ignore me for days on end until they gave in to my begging. So at some point, my friends and family would start questioning what happened to me and why they haven't seen me in so long. I was so afraid of being left unseen or being dumped that I sacrificed my relationships with my friends and family for this toxic one. I didn't even realize that I was making such a big exchange until I was confronted by my friends and family about it. It was at this point that I really started to question my partner and ask why I had to be with him all the time, all day, every day. I basically lived with them, and that's an understatement. I felt like I was suffocated of my freedom. If I didn't sleep over for one night out of the week, they would be upset and would do the same thing. Either leave me unseen, block me on everything, or threaten to leave me because I wanted to sleep in my own house for one night. Red flags, guys. Red flags. Later on throughout the relationship, we began to be on and off. I would do something such as go shopping with a female family member or a female close friend, and she'd break up with me out of jealousy, saying that if I was going to hang out with that female, then I should just leave and fuck them instead. I don't even know what part of that made any sense, but anytime there were female friends around and I was just catching up with them, my ex partner would say that I was being too friendly with them and that I should just date them instead if I'm going to be that close to them. Still, I didn't get it. I asked how the hell she even ended up that way. I never did anything once that would conjure the idea that I was being romantically secured by someone else that was of the opposite gender, so I wasn't sure where all these negative thoughts came from. It's ironic because I later found out that I was being cheated on. Getting cheated on is quite possibly one of the worst feelings I've ever felt in my life. When you're in an on and off relationship, sometimes the other party goes out and searches for safety nets or backups in case their main relationship doesn't work. And so my ex found comfort in her coworker. I found out about this on her Snapchat and saw their conversations. And I was told that it was nothing. And even if it was something, it was my fault that they were talking to other men. And that's a common trait from a narcissist, always shifting blame. Even if they did something hurtful, it was because you forced their hand. Let's just be honest and say that at the end of the day, you're an individual and will do what you want. No one held a gun to your head and told you to cheat. Being the stupid me, I stayed, of course. She was very open on social media about finding someone else or telling friends to find a man for her, even when she was with me. I would question this and would be told that it was just a joke. There was a night when I went over to see her and I found that she wasn't home. Something told me that she was at the movie theater with her coworker. So I actually went there and I found them exiting the theater together and they got into her car. I was so angry and heartbroken, I didn't know what to do. Soon after, we were on and off every single week. We were off, like when we were off, they would hang out with larger groups of men that I didn't know, and they barely knew, and like they barely knew them. So I was worried about their safety, but like also about what they might do. And my fears came true. When my ex came back, she said to me that the guys she hung out with were way better than me. They had college degrees and made good money. They were good looking, that she'd be better off with them. This was when I really started to feel worthless. And this wasn't the end of it either. This would pretty much be brought up whenever she needed to hurt me during an argument. And when you're told something enough, you start to believe it, and I did. I believed that I was worthless, that without a college degree, I was nothing, that without a good paying job, I wouldn't amount to anything. So I fell into a depression after this. I didn't even know that this was depression until I explained my symptoms a couple of years later to a friend, and they pointed out that my symptoms were common signs of depression. I was easily irritated. I had no energy to do anything, regardless of how much sleep I got. I wanted to stay inside all day and sulk. I secluded myself even more from my friends and family. I had constant nightmares. I was just tired all the time. So at this point of the relationship, I noticed that I became very controlling because I was always afraid that my partner would cheat on me or do something that would hurt me. I regret this because I became something that I never should have, and it went against everything that I believed in. I lost a portion of everything that was good in me. I broke my own code. I should have walked away at that point. I questioned everything they did. I didn't allow my partner to do a lot of things out of fear that the past might repeat itself. I'm not proud of myself for this, even when I think I was conditioned to always be on my guard. And just so you guys know, domestic abuse against men is a very real thing. I've never been hit before until this relationship. I was slapped, pushed, had knives thrown across the room, and metal cooking pans thrown at me. But I will go no further than this. It was a very traumatic experience for me and something I never want to go through again. And so after a year and a half of dealing with all of this, I decided that enough was enough. I discovered my better judgment. I saw that staying bore no benefits for me. If you can't fix something, then you have to do what's best for yourself and leave. After leaving, I was extremely cautious of who I talked to. If they showed any signs of imperfection, I'd leave ASAP. I didn't want to risk going through this, the past again. Anyone who I saw that was emotionally weak and relied on me for some of their happiness, I would run away because I was so afraid of being that emotional support. But being an emotional backbone is never a bad thing. It's only bad if you're told that you're in the wrong for not hanging out with your partner for 1 or 2 days of the week, because that somehow makes you emotionally unavailable. I kept telling potential partners that I didn't want to be the sole source of their happiness. It just reminded me too much of my past relationship, so I turned down a lot of people. I even went as far as to change my standards to that of they have to have a college degree or at least be actively pursuing one, because there was such a push in my toxic relationship that obtaining a degree somehow made you more valuable, or that without it, you'd go nowhere in life. I had these insanely crazy standards instilled into me that I'd push people away, even like I'd push them away if they didn't meet it. I was in this phase for a year, and I'm glad I'm over it. I'm no longer that person. I've learned peace and acceptance through diligently trying to find my way back to my roots. During this relationship, I lost so many friends. We were back together. Like, when we were back together, my ex would delete all of my friends and family on social media. When we were off, I'd add them back. Then the cycle continued. My friends got so sick of it that they just never added me back on social media. I lost touch with a lot of them, and I'm still very sad about it to this day. They were very good friends I grew up with, and I viewed them as my own brothers and sisters. Even after trying to explain what happened, they still didn't want to be friends. So I know where we stand, and that's okay. Growing up, you lose friends, and that's okay. I just wish I didn't have to lose them in this fashion. I crossed mountains and oceans for this relationship when they wouldn't even jump over a pebble or puddle for me. I never thought that I could go above and beyond for someone, but I soon learned that this would be the catalyst for my future relationships. It taught me how I should treat someone who deserves my affection, and I thank this painful relationship for building me into a better man. So why did I stay? Sometimes I feel like I don't know, but I do. It was the fear of being abandoned, of being alone, of feeling worthless without this person because they made you believe that you're nothing without them. It was the reward system that I often talk about. You change something about yourself in hopes that they'll love you. I lost parts of myself I don't know I'll ever get back. I lost my innocence. I lost parts of myself that was a part of everything good in me. I've hurt people because of how I'm always on my guard. I say things that I don't even realize hurts someone until they confront me. I'm always telling people that it's okay to be honest with me because I'm so afraid of being lied to, even if they've always been honest with me. Like, I know I'm not perfect, but I'm working on myself and will call myself out on my own bullshit if I see it or if someone else confronts me about it. I'm trying to rediscover myself after losing so much of me, and it really is a journey. All of this has taught me a lot about what to find in a partner. I'm at a point where I know what I want and I'll pursue it to the ends of the earth. I hope you guys find your other half in this lifetime. We all deserve better. Alright, guys, that is a wrap. I hope you guys found this episode insightful and gave you a chance to get to know me better. Huge shout out to all of my subscribers. You guys are the best, and thank you guys so much for supporting me these past couple months. I will see you guys next weekend on another episode of the Let's Slam podcast. Peace.